I just to read this disclaimer. For those that are just joining by phone, I will call out phone numbers where needed. But the disclaimer, this presentation is designed to provide plan participants with a general overview of the process required to enroll in various retirement-related benefits. It is by no means a comprehensive explanation of the plan's features. In case of a conflict between the materials in this presentation and the plan documents shall control. Okay. So can you go on to the next page, Mars? Next page. Okay, the steps to retire. The first step is to call the fund office 2 months prior to when you'd want to retire. And the fund office number, the toll-free number is 1-866-928-8329 or 610-941-4282. Retirement always begins on the first of the month. For example, if you want to start your payment May 1 of 2024, call the fund office by February 1 of 2024. If your last name begins with the letter A through L, once you call the fund office and listen to the message, dial 1 and you will get pension analyst Frosini Poulos. She handles that part of the alphabet. If your last name begins with the letters M through Z, you would dial 2 after the message and speak to pension analyst Michelle Beichel. The fund office will confirm your address at the time and send you a request to retire form. Next page, Mars. Once you get the request to retire form, you need to fill out your personal information and then have your store manager sign the form to confirm your last day of work. Return the completed form to the fund office. It can be mailed, emailed, or dropped off. The fund office will then prepare a final pension benefit calculation and send an election kit to you. Once you get your statement, please check it to make sure all the information is correct, that nothing is missing. We have the correct date of birth and all your service. And any questions or anything like that, call the fund office and we can address them with you. Next page, Mars. You should then, again, review the kit, complete the retirement application, select the annuity option you prefer, confirm any tax withholdings you want applied to your pension benefit, apply your banking information for direct deposit of your monthly pension benefit. And just a reminder, the first payment will be a check because we send the bank a pre-note to confirm that the account information and routing number are correct, that they were entered correct. So when we send your payment, it'll go into the correct account. Return the completed application to the fund office with the required documents. The required documents. So required for all participants are proof of age documents. For example, a birth certificate, a valid passport, baptismal records. We don't need originals. You can send us a copy. Also required for married participants is a marriage certificate and proof of age document for your spouse. For divorce participants, we require a copy of the court-signed divorce decree, the property settlement, if applicable, and a qualified domestic relations order. So the types of retirement. Normal retirement is at age 65 with 5 years of vesting service as of 1/1/99. Prior to that, it was 10 years of vesting service. Early retirement is between ages 55 and 64 with at least 10 years of vesting service. your benefit is reduced compared to normal retirement. A disability retirement, the participant must be at least age 50 with 10 years of service. You must be approved for Social Security disability, and you must be actively employed when the disability occurred. The other type of retirement is Rule of 90, and that is the benefit service, the years and months, plus your age, years and months, is equal to or greater than 90. And the benefit is the participant's unreduced benefit calculated as of January 1, 2010. So now the next is the pension annuity options. There are 3 optional forms of benefit. The joint and survivor. This is for married participants only. It pays a monthly annuity for the participant's lifetime. So if you were to pass away before your spouse would receive a monthly annuity for their lifetime. You can select a survivor benefit in the amount of 60%, 75%, or 100% of your benefit. Your monthly benefit will be reduced from a single life annuity amount. The amount of the reduction depends on the survivor benefit option you elect. Also, if you choose a joint and survivor election, there's what is called as a pop-up. And a pop-up is if your spouse should predecease you, you would then notify the fund office and you would pop up or be increased to the single life annuity amount. Next page, Mars. Okay. There are, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead of myself there again. I went through the pop-up benefit, and that is available for participants who collected or started collecting their benefit after January 1 of 1993. The other form of pensioning annuity is a single life annuity option. This pays a monthly annuity for your lifetime, and all benefits stop once you pass away. If you are married, you will need your spouse to sign off on this benefit and have it notarized. The other type of annuity is a 10-year certain and life annuity. This pays an annuity for your lifetime with 120 payments guaranteed. If you pass away prior to receiving the 120 pension payments, your designated beneficiary or beneficiaries will receive the remainder of the 120 payments. If you pass away after the 120 payments, no benefits would be payable to the beneficiaries. Next page, Mars. So working in retirement, the rules. When you apply to start receiving your pension benefits, you need to have the intent to retire and stop working in the retail food industry. If you must return to work in the retail food industry after starting to collect your pension benefits, you must contact the fund office. There are rules on the following slides that may apply to you or may not apply to you. You may work up to 39 hours per month to continue receiving your monthly pension benefit. If you work more than 39 hours a month or are paid, if there's a holiday in there, and you are paid for that, or you take vacation, those hours count towards that 39. And if you go over that, your monthly pension benefit will be suspended until you stop working again. If you're older than 65, the rules on the next slide you'll be able to work and collect your pension and still be able to collect your pension benefit. So that is the 70.5 rule. And the way that the 70.5 rule works, you can work unlimited hours and collect your benefit. So the way that it is it's the April 1st of the calendar year that you turn 70 and a half, that you can begin receiving the benefits. We will automatically send out an application for you to complete once you're eligible to start receiving this 70 and a half. Everyone must start taking the pension at 70 and a half.
Tish, I want to jump in here before, maybe I was distracted driving, but I'm a little concerned. You talked about the rule that you cannot work more than 39 hours a month once you begin collecting your pension, correct?
Correct.
All right, is that for anyone collecting a pension or only people under a certain age?
Under a certain age, under the 70 and a half rule.
Okay, when you were explaining that, you then pivoted and said, now for those 65 or older, there's a different rule. And then you pivoted directly to the 70 and a half rule. And the way you did that may be creating some confusion. So I hate to prolong this, but I think you need to clarify right now what it is pre-65, what it is post-65, and what it is at 70 and a half.
Sure, I apologize. So if you are pre-65, you are limited to the 39 hours a month before your pension benefit would be suspended. If you are over 65.
So now let's stop right there. Let's stop right there and focus on that pre-65. Is that no matter where you work, anywhere, a supermarket or any other kind of industry?
In the retail food industry.
All right. So if you're
in the tri-state pension area.
So up to age 65, if you were collecting a pension, you cannot work in the retail food industry in the area of the pension plan, which is the tri-state area, more than 39 hours a month. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So you can work somewhere else outside of the retail food industry more than 39 hours a month.
Correct.
Okay. Let's go on to the next group.
Okay. So then the 70 and a half rule, that's where you can continue to work in the retail food industry in the tri-state area, work unlimited hours and collect your pension and not be penalized.
Now, let me just jump in here. Does that mean you can continue to work in your current job or any other job if you already retired?
Correct. Your current job or any other job. And we will automatically put you in pay status at 70 and a half. You must begin collecting it.
All right, that's all the clarification. Thanks.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Next page, Mars. So, effective January 1, 2020, there was a new benefit put in for everyone, Acme and the Tri-State Pension Fund. Your benefit was frozen in the Tri-State Pension Fund, and now Acme is making a contribution to the retirement and savings plan for everyone. So effective January 1, 2020, for local 1776 Acme participants, the benefit accrual begins after you complete 90 days of employment. You're also eligible to make salary deferrals to the 401k plan. And in the 401k plan, you can decide how you would like to invest your retirement savings. And the 401k plan was with Prudential, which is now Empower. So next slide, Mars. Again, as I mentioned, the Tri-State Pension Plan froze accruals effective January 1, 2020, and the Acme makes the contributions to the 1776 Retirement and Savings Plan effective 1/1/20. And contributions are made for every participant who completes 90 days of employment with Acme for each month that the participant has worked hours or uses paid time off or approved leaves. And each calendar quarter, the contributions are allocated to the participant's account based on a point system. And the points are based on the years of service and your status of either full-time or part-time. So there is different tiers. So tier 1 would be less than 5 years. And if you were a full-time, you would get 1 point. And if you were part-time, you would get 0.75 of a point. And it goes up with the length, your length of service. So there's 10 different tiers. The highest tier being 45 or more years of service. And if you're full-time, you would get 24 points at the value that is determined for this quarter, or 18 points if you are part-time. Next page, Mars. So with the 401k, you can take just distribution.
I'm sorry, Tish. I hate to do this, but again, I want to avoid some confusion down the road. When you said the points based on the value determined, I just want to be clear for people what Tish meant by that. It's not an arbitrary determination that's made by trustees or anyone else. It's based on the pool of money received every quarter. That money comes in every month, every quarter. It's compiled, added up. It's going to vary from month to month, quarter to quarter, based on the number of people Acme pays on, based on the number of people actively working. And then the points are part of a formula that's fixed. That's not arbitrary. And the decision on what value to apply that formula to is simply a math calculation of how much money came in for that quarter. So, you know, if there's a little more money in one quarter, that formula is going to generate a little more money for each of the people per point. If it's a little less in a certain quarter, it's going to be a little less. And that's the way that's determined. It's not an arbitrary determination. Go ahead, Tish.
Thank you, Wendell, for that clarification. And the point value has been around $13.64, $12 and some cents. So as Wendell said, the point value will vary depending on the number of participants and the contribution amount each month. Okay, so distributions and withdrawals. To receive a distribution of your employer contribution allocation in the plan, you must have attained vesting service and terminated employment. And the vesting schedule for this is less than 2 years of service. You would not have any investment. You would be 0% vested in the employer contribution. And then again, that would go from like 2 years of service, but less than 3, you would be 20% vested. 3 years of service, but less than 4, you would be 40% vested. 4 years of service, but less than 5, you'd be 60% vested. And 5 years of service, but less than 6, you would be 80% vested. And then 6 or more years of service, you'd be 100% vested. But remember, you are always 100% vested from the beginning in any money that you defer, any of your deferral contributions. So if you were vested, fully vested in the Tri-State Pension Plan prior to January 1 of 2020, you are automatically fully vested in the employer 401k contribution. Next page, Mars. So you, again, as we had mentioned, you're eligible to make salary deferrals to your 401k beginning on the first of the month after completing your 90 days of employment. You can call the fund office, the toll-free number, or 610-941-9400. and it's extension 175 or 112. Now, to start your salary deferrals, to update your deferral rate, to designate a beneficiary, or for more information on how to use your account online. Next page, Mars. So with the 401k, the choices for withdrawal or distributions, once you terminate, you can roll it over to another qualified plan. There's no age penalties to roll over your 401k contributions to another qualified employer-sponsored 401k plan, an IRA or a Roth IRA. You could take a partial or a total withdrawal. Participants who are under the age of 59 and a half are subject to a 10% penalty for early distribution and must be terminated from employment prior to that distribution. Participants over age 59 and a half are able to have in-service distributions of salary deferral contributions without that 10% penalty. You can also set up systematic payments, annuity, and you could contact Empower for that form to begin that process if you'd like. Next page, Mars. So this page is the contact information for the fund office, for the Tri-State Pension Fund, and also for 401k inquiries. So again, the toll-free number is 1-866-928-8329 or 610-941-4282. And that is for the Tri-State Pension Fund. And the pension analyst, Fro, or Frosini Poulos, handles the letters of the alphabet A through L. So once you dial the number, you can put in option or dial 1, and that'll take you directly to Fro or her voicemail. You can also email the pension analyst, and it is your first initial of your first name and your last name at healthcarestrategiesinc.org. And if your name begins with M through the end of the alphabet, you would dial extension 2 after the message begins, and you would get Michelle. And her email is mbilkyk, B-I-L-Y-K, at healthcarestrategies.org. If you have 401k inquiries, you can dial 610-941-9400. And Anthony Camacho handles the 401k. He is at extension 112. And Michelle also helps at extension 175 with the 401k. And again, Empower Retirement, formerly Prudential, you can contact them to set up your account at https://www.retirement.prudential.com or call the participant service center at 877-778-2100. And we also recommend, as Wendell said, when you're preparing for retirement, that you call Social Security at least 4 months prior to when you would begin to collect your benefit. The fund office is 2 months, Social Security is 4 months, and Social Security's number is 1-800-772-1213. And I forgot to mention, but the fund office is open. And once you get any paperwork or if you need anything, you can stop in and the pension analyst will be happy to go over your kit with you if you have any questions or concerns, because it is such an important decision. So we are here, and feel free to call, schedule an appointment and with a pension analyst, and we'll be more than happy to help you. So that covers the pension, the defined benefit through Tri-State Pension, and the 401k, the defined contribution for the Acme participants. Now we are going to cover the welfare benefits in retirement. So the health and welfare benefits are available to the 1776 and participating employers through the Health and Welfare Fund. So what's required? In order to be eligible for this, you must have 10 or more years of full-time service, collect a pension from the Food Industry Pension Fund, and go from active employment to collecting a pension without a time lapse. When does coverage begin? It begins at age 55 for RX, vision, and dental. And age 62 to 65, you get those above benefits, prescription, vision, and dental, plus medical. Who's covered? Retirees, spouses, and dependent child or children. Children, though, are only covered for the medical and the behavioral health or mental health benefit under the retiree coverage, plus the vision and dental. What's offered? Plus medical from age 62 to 65, retiree RX premium reimbursement, and I see there's a mistake on this and I apologize. It increases each year and it is currently at $109 per month. So you would purchase, once you turn age 65, you would purchase a Part D prescription plan and send us proof of that. And then we would reimburse up to the $109. Next page, Mars. So in order to get these benefits, all participants should complete an retiree enrollment card. So when you notify the pension that you're going to be retiring, you should also reach out to the Health and Welfare Fund. You can be transferred over, and then we could send out the necessary enrollment card and answer any questions that you would have. So again, all participants must complete a retiree enrollment card. Participants retiring between the ages of 62 and 65 complete the pension deduction form. So they complete the application for reduction of spousal form, if applicable. And then for participants who retire at age 55 and over, you can complete the direct deposit form and send in proof of the Medicare Part D premium paid to get that $109, up to $109 reimbursed. Next page. Okay. So again, when you're ready, call the fund office. The toll-free number is 1-800-458-8618, 2 months prior to when you want to retire. And again, ask to be transferred to the Health and Welfare, and you would be speaking to Alexis Thorpe or Lexi at extension 130. Advise her of your plan to retirement date, and the fund office will confirm your eligibility for benefits and send out a retiree eligibility welcome letter and a retiree enrollment card. Next page. So once you complete the retiree enrollment card, return it to the fund office within 30 days from the date of the welcome letter. And the fund office will mail you a direct deposit form required for the RX reimbursement benefit, additional paperwork to complete if necessary, and pend your enrollment until your actual retirement date. And I just want to also remind participants, the retiree RX reimbursement, you must every year send proof of your enrollment in this Medicare Part D coverage, and premiums change each year. So each year you will be required to send in your new premium for the year. Next page. Okay, so again, this is the retiree prescription drug reimbursement benefit, eligible up to $109 per month, and it is towards the cost of your Medicare Part D monthly insurance premium, and it's per eligible retiree and per eligible spouse, and the fund office will issue a benefit payment to you via direct deposit to your bank account on a monthly basis. So Contact information again for the fund office for the health and welfare. The toll free is 1-800-458-8618. And it's Lexi or Alexis Thorpe who handles the retiree benefits. And she's at extension 130. And her email is the same as the others. It's her first initial, ajones@healthcarestrategies.org. So if you have any questions about Medicare, you can call 1-800-Medicare or 1-800-633-4227. For questions about your Part A or Part B coverage, you can call Social Security at 1-800-227-1213, or it's medicare.gov for online information. So that completes the presentation. And if there's any questions or need clarification on anything, please let me know.
Hey, just a couple of things I want to add before we open up for questions. First of all, thank you, Tish, for walking us through that. It's a lot of material. So no matter how much Tish tells you, there's lots of between the lines additional information, which is why it's important every individual contact the fund. And at the very beginning, Tish said it's important you contact 2 months in advance. I want to be really clear, no less than 2 months in advance. And you really want to do it before that. Except a few people with unusual circumstances, like some change in circumstances in their lives, or an employer going out of business or something like that. Most people have a feel for the fact that they're going to retire. They may not know the exact date, but they have an idea about when it's going to be, more than 2 months in advance, often several years in advance. And I really encourage you, that's when you start talking to the fund office. They're not going to call your friends, relatives, your coworkers, or your employer and tell them that, but it'll help them get ready. For example, that 2 months in advance, if everything's solid, in other words, all the information in the system as reported by your employer or employers throughout your entire career is accurate, that 2 months is enough time. But if there's a mistake in, the service being booked, or an inappropriate gap in service, or missing years from some past employers reporting, or time, you want to get that straightened out in advance. You don't want to be juggling trying to get that done in the last 2 months. So, if 5 years out that you're thinking about retiring in 5 years, call them. Let them do a workup. They'll save that work. It'll be easier to update once you get closer to your actual date and you firm up your actual date. And that'll make that, whether it's 2 or 4 or 6 months in advance that you call, that exercise at the end a lot smoother. And any problems you'll have detected most likely in the earlier review. So I encourage you, reach out to them, make sure you understand it all. The other thing is, Tish gave you a lot of information about things outside of our fund, like Social Security, how to contact them. You can go and get your Social Security statement every year online. I don't know if all of you have done it, but I encourage you to set up your account with Social Security, where they have a portal. You can log in. You can check your benefit at any time. You can get questions or answers to a lot of questions there at any time during your career without sitting on a phone queue waiting for the next available counselor to talk with you. And that'll help streamline that process as well. And Medicare, you have to apply for Medicare timely, even if you don't need it. Even if you intend to keep working and have benefits, or you have a spouse that's going to have benefits, you need to apply for it timely, or you will pay more for it later, and significantly more. You get penalized for not applying for it on time, even if you don't need it. So if you have any questions about that, ask here or follow up after this to make sure you don't miss that filing deadline. And they should mail you stuff about it. You should get outreach about it in advance, but you don't want to miss that. And so you should know ahead of time yourself when that is that you need to go apply, and make sure you get that done. I guess the last thing I want to say is it's impossible to squeeze everything into this meeting, so we hope this has been helpful. But on the 401k, I encourage you to also supplement what Acme's paying. as hard as it is to squeeze a little extra out for what's called an employee deferral, that is your own contribution out of your own wages, it's never too late to start doing that, and you will be happy later you did it, because once you retire, look, I did a quick glance now that I'm not on the highway and I've had a chance to stop at some traffic lights. Who's on here? A lot of you, like me, been around a while. And when we entered the workforce and we looked at our relatives, aunts, uncles, parents, grandparents, people's idea of retirement was, you work to 65, you retire, go on a cruise, and then go home and die. You didn't live that long. People weren't living that long. Today, people are living well into their 80s, 90s, and we have some participants over 100 now. It was unheard of to have any or many people when we started working in their 90s. Today, we have quite a few. We even have a few out there working into their 80s, and I think we actually have a few just over 90, let alone living. It's a long time to take care of yourself, and it's harder to squeeze out that savings for your needs when you're older than right now. So, even if it's small and incrementally increases, I urge you to put some money into that 401k. No better example as when A&P went bankrupt in 2015 and shut down. That fund that we started back in 1999, our A&P members that did that were very happy to be facing that unfortunate prospect of the company being shut down in bankruptcy and being out of work, but they had a nice cushion to work with. And some of them who were near retirement were going to retire anyway. It made a world of a difference to them. So I can't emphasize how a great opportunity is to save there and how easy it is, in addition to what Acme under our contract is putting in there, and in addition to the tri-state plan you have. And for some of you, and we're not going to get into it in detail here, it's more complicated because you may have worked somewhere else, like ShopRite or somewhere else, where you were in one of our other pension plans. So there's another element there. You might have some service in the 1776 plan with one or more employers. I'm a good example. I worked for Penn Fruit. I had earned credit in a Teamsters plan before I became a member of this union. And many of you I know had similar experiences, whether it was from Food Fair, Penn Fruit, or ShopRites or A&P. So you want to make sure all those different pieces are properly accounted for by our fund office. And the fund office only has records as good as what the employers gave us back then. And not all those employers are still here. So again, if everything's as it should be, that 2 months is enough time. But if it's not, it's not. So you want to really make sure that when you try and call well in advance, not just those 2 months, but no less than 2 months, if you want everything to go smoothly and get your check on time. So with that, I'm going to stop talking. Appreciate the fund putting this together. Sorry for the glitch with Regina. Not able to participate the way she wanted to. Before we open up the questions, Regina, are you able to join in the conversation? Do you have anything you want to add to what's been already provided?
Wendell, this is Tish. I'm sorry. And I just want to I forgot to mention, and like you said, with the employee deferral, that's pre-tax money. So you'll get a better benefit because it's money taken out and then you're paying less taxes on your wages. So that's another plus to employee deferring. And on the Empower website, they have a great tool where you can go out and, like Wendell said, you may have a benefit from another fund or a separate IRA or something. You can put all that in there and forecast what you will need or what you would get when you retire or you plan out those years. So that's a nice feature.
And just to show you how we're still practicing the best way to kind of summarize in these short meetings for you. But, Tish told you as part of the 401k plan, what your options were when you do retire or terminate employment, like transferring the money to a qualified other plan. I'm going to ask Trish now in the future not to explain it that way. The first option I would like everyone to know is that you can keep your money here. You don't have to transfer it out. One of the mistakes, and I'm not a licensed advisor, so I can't give you advice, but I'll just tell you some insights of my own and my feelings about things. I think the mistake some people I know have made, because they've talked with me about it, is they think they have to take the money out of the 401k when they retire. You do not. You can leave it there. And this plan has a very good expense ratio and good benefit, or I'm sorry, investment options for you. So if you're comfortable with it, you can leave it there. You don't have to shop to go take it somewhere else. And the mistake I think it's a mistake some people make is they take it to a friend, a relative, the person down the street's kid, who are financial planners, and sell them like insurance annuities. I think in most cases, that's probably not the best way to manage your money. And it would be far better if you just left it here and continued to make some investment elections, even if you just kept it in the target life funds, where most of our members, I don't want to say majority have it, but certainly the biggest chunk of our members use those plans. So Prudential has great resources, calculators, tools, estimators, and even some people who can get on the phone or in a chat room with you and help you make some informed decisions on what to do. But you don't have to move the money out when you retire. You can keep it there. Anything else before we go to questions? Go ahead, Regina.
No, I just want to let you know I can participate in the questions.
Oh, good.
So thanks for the
Do you
opportunity.
have anything you want to add, Regina, before we go to questions?
No, I do not. I thought you and Tish did a great job, and happy to follow up with any questions. Other than to note, we did this webinar about a year ago, and it was posted on YouTube for anyone to refer to. Whenever it's easier for our participants to look at it, we'll take that one down and we will add this one as an updated version. They're identical, except for potentially the questions, but it'll be there for our participants to refer to 24/7 at your convenience. So we invite you to do that and tell your friends.
Any questions? Let's see if anybody has any questions.
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead, John.
Medicare 65 years old. You briefly went over that, but you have to sign up for Medicare A when you turn 65, which I will be doing in a few months.
Yeah, I think you actually have to do it before or by 65. I think Tish had the number here for you to call if you have any questions. They also have a website. You can do it right online. You have to do that. If you do not, I'll just use an assumption here, John. I'm not saying this applies to you, but a hypothetical. Let's say you have no intention to retire at 65 and you get benefits because you're still working and you have our benefit plan here. And so you're thinking out of sight, out of mind. What do I need that for? I'm going to work for a couple more years. Well, actually, if you don't apply for it, even if you don't need it, when you go later to get it, you're going to get penalized, and it's quite steep, and it compounds over time. It gets bigger over time based on how long you delayed. So I just wanted to get that reminder into everybody. It has nothing to do with any rules here at our fund, but like many of our members work past 65. And sometimes people make the mistake because they get the mail, they get notices from the government, or they hear about it in meetings like this, and they think, it doesn't apply to me. I'm going to keep working. It does apply to you. Now, our benefits would still prevail and be primary, but you still have to apply. And there's a whole backstory why you have to do that. It's not relevant. Just the fact is you got to do it.
Okay, I have another question.
Go ahead, Virginia.
Can I just add something? Yeah, I just want to add, because Wendell's absolutely right. You need to be very, very concerned about applying. But I just wanted to point out the difference between Medicare A and B, because there are parts A, B, there's C, there's D. So I think it's John who asked the question. I think you mentioned specifically Medicare A. Yeah, I believe Medicare A is automatic. It's B. If you delay in enrolling for Medicare Part B, there is a 1% penalty per month if you fail to do so. So say you forgot and it's 10 months later and you figure, oh, I have to apply for Medicare B. You're going to pay 10% more every month for your Medicare B premium for the rest of your life. So as Wendell said, it is so important that you plan this and you make sure you enroll well in advance, so you make sure you don't have to pay one penny more than you're obligated to pay or that you can pay legally. So, and I also want to add a bit of a disclaimer.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, go ahead,
I just want to say we don't administer Medicare benefits. So Wendell's right. You need to call Medicare, but we want to put you on notice so you can take care of this issue promptly, because we won't know when you're actually applying for Medicare. But you need to call Medicare for those details. But be aware there is a significant penalty. You want to avoid that. Thanks, Wendell.
Yeah, and you don't have to, by applying for it early, you don't have to actually take it early if you already have benefits, but you need to notify them. You need to notify them because almost all of our members, like most people everywhere, do take B. They ultimately want B. Without it, there's too many gaps in A.
Well, here's the other question I had. I don't know if you get on this or not, but Medicare is overwhelming trying to figure out what you should take and what you need and what you don't need. So is there anyone at the Union Hall can help me or
Yes.
other members?
Yes, John, I believe on this line with us is Deneen Boyce.
Yes,
and
I'm
you
here.
remember Deneen, that's Nick, you remember Nick Farina, that's Nick's daughter. I know you've been around a little while, John, so you know
Yes.
some of these folks. He's one of our best comp analysts we have. The fund office can help you or Deneen can help you. But if you reach out to Deneen at the union office and Deneen knows you're looking, so she's going to look you up and send you her contact information. She'll either set it up remotely on like Zoom or arrange a time if you want to come in and help you through the process, give you a lot of good, she'll point you in the right direction to make sure you don't get tripped up in this stuff. Okay.
That's great news. That's great news. All right. I'll get in touch with her and I'll come in there and sit down and talk to her because that's important information that I have to get.
Yep. And for everyone
John,
else,
this is
Deneen just put her contact information in the chat as well, but she'll reach out to you, John, since you have an immediate, obvious need to understand this better. But the fund office can also help you with this. So don't hesitate to talk with them about it as well. Go ahead, Regina.
No, I just wanted to say what you just said, that we are here to help. That's our only purpose for being here. We are here to help. Please don't hesitate. Call us anytime or come in to visit.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Pleasure.
We did
All
have,
right.
Wendell, we had a question come in through the chat from Kevin Smythe. Hey, Wendell, any idea when the stimulus money will go into our pension fund? I do realize that you can't predict what and when the government will do.
So, Marcy, I don't know why. I think maybe your daughter might be competing with you, but your voice bottomed out while you were talking. I couldn't hear all that.
Okay, she's not here, so that's not me, that's somebody else's. Hey, Wendell, any idea when the stimulus money will go into our pension fund? I do realize that you can't predict what and when the government will do something.
Well, we can predict. We had this gets a little complicated, so I'm going to try and simplify it. We had specific meetings on this during the past year, so I'll just kind of do a light version. Based on the estimated dates of insolvency and the size of the funds, there were groupings created by the government that dictated when you could apply and who would be first in line to get the help. And we were one of the, I forget, maybe the 5th group or so, something like that. I forget the exact number, which group. It moved around a little bit at times. But this past winter, we got into the window where we had to apply earlier this year. We had done a lot of our work to prepare for that in advance. We accelerated that work at the end of, when I say we, I'm talking about the fund and the trustees and the professionals whose responsibility it was to shepherd this through the process. And I'm talking specifically about the Tri-State Pension Fund. And we nailed it. You know, we got our work done. We got our application in within the window. We confirmed that it was received. We haven't been told there's any problems with it. We're very confident that it was done correctly. There is a possibility while it's under review, and that's a months, that's plural months with an S, long process for the government to review the many applications they got. It's very possible and maybe even likely they'll come back to us and say, well, we think you should adjust this assumption or that, or they might question us about assumptions that we had to, because there's certain things we had to build into the application where there's a range of possibilities provided by the requirements of the application. And so it's very likely they'll come back and question some of those things. One of the things we did up front is sent some preliminary information to the office that reviews all this stuff and asked for a preliminary meeting so we could try and get some of that stuff, get some direction on some of those things. So, if we have ranges, we want to be in the range they're going to find acceptable and not be arguing with them after we file. And they didn't even find it necessary to have a meeting with us. So we didn't have a meeting. We did have resources there to talk to in preparation. A lot of work went into it. It was very complicated. We expect to get a response sometime later this year. It is possible that the money will land in our fund sometime this year or next, but it's not something that's going to take years. It's going to take months. It's not years. And we have a high confidence level that we're well within the parameters and that our assumptions were reasonable and not too far to one side or the other on the scale. And for that reason, we think our applicational process pretty quick, based on the way the system's set up. We are not at a point right now. Let me repeat that. We are not at a point right now where we are insolvent. 2022 is not a good year in the investment market. So that obviously shed some time off our timeline. But so far, 2023 has been a bit of a rebound. And if it continues this way, we'll help make up for some of 2022. But we still have a number of years to go. I am confident that no matter how long it takes them with some back and forth, that we will have the money on time before we're hitting insolvency and even before that. And the only exception to everything I just said is the same process that is Congress and the president who created this opportunity. The Congress and the president could take it away. So this is a great example of who you vote for matters. We've been trying to get this kind of pension reform for decades. You've heard me, many of you in this call right now, you've heard me talk about this for a long, long time, right? It took President Biden to get this done. And it took controlling both houses of Congress to get it done. That's the only reason it was able to get done, right? He had Democratic control in Congress. So if we lose that in next year's presidential elections, if we lose Bob Casey in the U.S. Senate, and we lose more ground in the House, and we lose the Senate, which we only hold narrowly, and we don't have people like Joe Biden in the White House, they will unravel it like a cheap sweater. I have no doubt. You saw this debt ceiling issue that we just all went through. They wanted a lot of the stimulus money clawed back. Guess what? This pension money is stimulus money. That's part of what they wanted clawed back. And Biden, drew a line in the sand and said no. So if you want to, best ensure that this money doesn't miss getting into our account or somehow gets taken away later in a clawback, you have to elect the people that are in your corner on this. We can't go and elect people because we like their TV commercials. You got to elect them based on who they are and what they stand for. Okay?
That's exactly why I asked this question, Wendell.
Great question. Thank you. Thanks, Kevin.
You got it.
Anybody else? All right. Well, listen, I really appreciate, good to see you. I hope this is helpful. You know, tell your friends who couldn't make it. It'll be available, on video at like the last one was, and, we'll get something out to you as a follow-up. And if you have anything else, please call, you know, either our office or the fund office. Either way, we'll get you in the right spot and get your answers, okay?
Yep.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a
everyone.
good night.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.